Welcome back, everybody. Yo, this is Real Talk.
With the realest siblings.
And if you couldn't tell, we are hyped because tonight was the
Bruh.
season finale of
Bruh.
Sequester 4.
Oh my God.
Yo, I'll tell you,
Yeah.
I burst out laughing so many times and I cried a few times. Like it was insane and it was intense. It was so good. So good.
Real talk. I love this show.
Like this is what we needed. This is oh man, it was amazing.
Way to start 2021. But first, before we get into the content, like, subscribe, comment, comment at the end when you've watched the video. Watch the whole video. But at the end, comment right now, like and subscribe. Put a notification on for whenever we give videos. I don't know. This is the end of the season. You don't need it. Never mind. Take it off. Oh my God.
Put it back.
Okay, whatever.
Hit the notification bell.
Yeah.
But man, like this freaking, like I was so hyped coming into this. I was like, holy crap. Like, I don't know if I realized last week that this was the final episode.
I know.
It was like, the season finale already? And then you see just like it goes from what we started off with 6 and just
blah, 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 blah. Yeah, they all get chopped down real quick. And let's just get started. So we started from Jacob coming back after having vanquished Muna.
Yeah, for the final time. Muna's finally gone. The whole house has been trying to get her out for weeks. She's finally gone.
She's out. Number one threat. Jacob is kind of just like, all right, yeah, I did it. Let's move on. I mean, he's pretty somber. It was odd. Like, it's, him and Muna had a connection. So I assume part of that was like, the sadness that he had to eliminate kind of a frenemy, whatever they'd become on the show. Mm-hmm. And I think part of it, Jacob is just he's just in game mode. I feel like he's like, let's do it.
Yeah. I think he was ready to marathon through. I mean, at this point, he's already been targeted for, I think, the past like 2 to 3 weeks, if not more. So like, I think he knows coming in, I'm gonna have to do this again very shortly, like tonight, So he's just kind of like, all right, I'm back, but let's get into it,
Josh was very excited to have Muna gone. He's been working to get her out. He was glad that plan came to fruition. And Billy was surprisingly pragmatic. Like, I think she wasn't emotional. Obviously, I think everyone understood that it's the end game. She was kind of like, this is what happens at the end. People drop. The great ones leave or something like that. So
we got to move forward. So we see them go right into what is the final twist of the season. I don't think it had a title, but it was a really cool concept. Do you want to explain it?
Yeah, so I dug it. It was really cool. They were in this like weird abandoned warehouse. Is that the same place they've done other things, or was this like a new set? They were each given 3 ping pong balls and 5 upside down vases, clay vases. And they got to distribute their ping pong balls among the vases however they wanted. They could put 3 under one, 2 under one, and one under another, or they could have 1 ball under 3 of the different 5 vases. Then, after they all did that, they were each going to be asked a question kind of about something revealing with regard to their gameplay, who their final 2 is going to be, or something kind of more personal that they probably want to keep private. If they chose to answer, they were allowed to take a hammer and go smash another player's vase and potentially take a ping pong ball from the other player. Once any player had all their vases smashed, they were out. And at the end, the player with the most ping pong balls not only won, but could also save one of the other players to go into the final 4.
That was when I heard that, I was like, ooh, that's good. Because I think at this point, like in terms of when they're, the answering the questions and revealing, insights into their game, I wasn't necessarily sure if that would reveal a whole bunch to this point. I feel like right now everyone kind of has an idea of, where some of the alliances lie. Although I think out of this, twist, I think people realize that Jacob and Natalie were way closer than Jacob and Spencer were. So that I think was a bit of a revelation. But I think everything else was kind of, it's like there are only so many people to pick from. So, they got questions like, they asked Spencer, who's your final 2? And he said Billy. And the one thing I did think was really interesting in this is that they asked Jacob, who do you not want in final 2? And he said Billy. And I think he was really the only person at that point that had really like clocked Billy of like, we can't have Billy in the final 2. And so I thought that was
Josh had, but he hadn't yet made his motives clear or known.
Clear. Yeah. So it's whether or not like he would actually pull the trigger on that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was cool. It was, it was fun to watch. I think somebody put 2 balls under 1 clay cup. So I thought that was an interesting strategy.
Natalie did, and I think another person did towards the end. I don't remember who that was, but yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hoping that, if someone just starts on the other direction, it might just be the last cup and then, they get to stay in the game.
Or the rule was that if you smashed all the cups, you were out, right? But was it also that if you lost all your ping pong balls, you were out?
That's a good point. No, it wasn't. Yeah, no, it wasn't.
So you could potentially put all 3 under one. If somebody smashes that, then you're never going to lose another race again.
Because nobody will. Yeah.
Yeah. So there was some cool strategy options I thought were pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I did like seeing the difference in how people answered. Spencer had this like hesitance to answer. He's like, oh man, I don't know if I want to reveal this. Josh was answering every question immediately with no remorse. like Josh, if you could kill one person, I kill Natalie. I don't even finish. I was like, whoa, Josh, chill. Like, whoa. He's just so direct, and he would come at every question so hard. And it was interesting to see kind of sometimes little frictions would happen. Somebody would hear an answer and be like, okay, coming from me, okay. Yeah, but it wasn't like any huge blowups or huge reveals.
Yeah. I think they asked Josh like which player is the most gullible, and he was like Spencer. Like, oh dang, okay. Like, all right, I guess you've been thinking about that for a while. So yeah, that game was and so it ended up coming down to a tiebreaker. So Spencer was out first, Josh was out, then no, not Josh was out. Who was it?
Only Spencer was out. Yeah, because then they had Then they had a 4-way tie of 3 ping pong balls. A few people got out, but at the end, they had a 4-way tie of 3 ping pong balls amongst everyone. Yeah. And it got settled by basically they had to answer how long the competition had been. Right? That competition?
Yeah, that was how, And Josh got it correct. So Josh ends up winning this game, and you see him celebrate. Obviously, he's like freaking hype. Yeah. And then they ask him, who are you going to pick as the person that you save? And he immediately says, Billy. Immediately, like no hesitation, like Billy, you're the one to save it. Billy's just like, yes, let's go. And you see them celebrate, and you're just like, I was like, holy crap. Like
I was so hyped.
I was thinking of you. Hyped. I was like, Will's gonna be so hyped when he sees this.
They're the best. They're so dope. Like I just love that friendship and love how they play the game and how they're such opposites in some ways, but like at the core of who they are, they're both like gamers and like good people, it seems like, right? Like they both seem like just good people, and I was just hyped for that. And I wish it had lasted longer.
I know. And I thought of you too, because remember on the date night, like I remember when you were like, yo, it was like 2 kings like coming together and just like deciding like, yo, we're gonna run this. And like that's what we see that. We're like, holy crap. And I think Josh even said to Billy was like, yo, you picked the right one. Like you picked the right one from day one. And I was like, oh man, this is gonna be amazing. But then we see the next. Yo, can we give a round of applause to the editor of this episode? Like the editor of this episode was on point. Right after they're celebrating, we see, cut the confessional, and Josh is like, yeah, I'm taking Billy out. Like if I get out, I'm driving Billy out. And I'm like, oh dang. Yeah. Bill, and then you see Billy later on being like, I love this guy, man. Josh is the best. He's so loyal. And I'm like, it's not gonna end well.
We'll see. Yeah, so. that was. I mean, but it really just highlighted what I love about both of them. Josh is cutthroat to the end. As much as he is like deeply loyal in a way, he's only loyal up until loyalty no longer will help him get to where he wants to go, which is kind of how it should be to an extent. That's right? True. I mean, nobody here. Y'all met each other a few days ago. Like, you don't need to be that loyal to each other, but like, I think he's playing it well. But I also love how Billy plays it. She's like, look, I'm loyal or I'm not.
Yeah,
that's it, and I am.
Yeah. So. And you know what? You're right. Like Josh gave Billy her like due loyalty. Yeah. Like he saved her with an LOS earlier, didn't he? And then he saved her. And then this time he protects her and takes her to the final 4. Like that's you don't have to show me loyalty by giving me the money, like, but that's the kind of loyalty you show, you know what I'm saying? And so you're right. He did what he needed to do, and he was 100% loyal to Billy, no matter what happens after that. I think it's enough to say that he was loyal to her in the game.
For sure.
So then we see essentially now they have to, with Josh and Billy safe, we have Jacob, Natalie, and Spencer essentially just battling it out, trying to not get voted out, because this is now essentially the final elimination before really the end game portion of the competition.
And Josh and Billy having to vote while thinking about the drag mechanic, right? Who, not just who do you want out, but who are they potentially going to pick? And there was this kind of early conversation about how almost no matter who gets voted out, they're going to pick Natalie. And so the plan was to like, well, don't vote Natalie then, that's a waste. And then kind of over time, it became this message of like Billy, had some loyalty to Spencer. And I think they both realized like we both want Spencer around. So Spencer became the one who was off the table. They had decided on Jacob somewhat early on. Initially, when they said don't vote Natalie, they decided on Jacob. And then they later on decided like don't vote Spencer and decided on Jacob. Like they came back to Jacob again. But he was kind of their target from the jump.
Yeah, it was really, it was interesting. I mean, and Josh was targeting Jacob from the beginning. I think he realized, okay, I mean, why target Natalie?
Yeah.
And maybe like in the opposite, but a similar vein, why target Spencer, right? Because if you leave Spencer in, Natalie would probably want to target him because she likes Jacob and she wants to make a big name for himself. And like you said, same with Jacob. He's if he doesn't target Natalie, which it seems like they're close and he's not going to, then he'll come after Spencer. So
which in hindsight, and I didn't realize this at the time because I don't think anyone can fully predict Natalie's actions at any time, but like it might have been better for Josh to get Natalie out. That might have been the play. Seeing how things played out and seeing how everyone else seemed to understand that they couldn't beat Billy, right? That Billy had to go. I don't know if Natalie's on that Final Four.
Oh, I think it looks 100% different.
Things look different.
I think it looks. I think we have a completely different Final Two, completely different winner if Natalie's not there. And it's interesting because it's like out of that whole that last twist, the revelation was that, oh damn, we didn't realize Natalie and Jacob were as close as they were. But it's like maybe you didn't realize Natalie and Billy also had a connection. So I think that's good. That's interesting because I think their connection wasn't as obvious and upfront throughout the whole season, but you see them having these moments where they're like trusting each other, so we'll see that come into play later. But Natalie, look, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, let me go ahead and take on this one.
I'm gonna pass the mic to you.
Before I go in, no, I'm not gonna go in, but before I go further, like I do want to, I don't apologize for nothing. This is real talk. All right. We don't apologize here. But I feel differently towards Natalie.
100%.
I feel like now she was in a position of somebody who was just always on her back foot, always the whole season. And there's a desperation that comes with that. And especially seeing her when she had that kind of self-talk moment, I was like, girl,
I am strong. You are strong. You are confident. And her voice like cracked a little bit when when she said confident.
Yeah.
And look, here's the thing.
Yeah.
And I'm saying this from experience. And I bet you anyone that is watching can say the same exact thing. Whenever in your life you have had to tell yourself out loud that you are strong and you are confident, it's because you were feeling weak. And it's because you were feeling just like, yo, I got nothing left. And that when her voice cracked, I was like, I really feel you. I was like, I feel you, Natalie. Like,
honestly, I did. It was just, I was like, I know what that feels like. I know what that feels like. And like, I can't hate on that. You are treading water. You're trying not to drown. You've been trying not to drown for weeks. And that is exhausting. Yeah. All you can do is take a moment by yourself and hype yourself up because ain't nobody else here hyping you up. You're your own hype woman. I know Jacob and her had kind of a special relationship too, but like at the end of the day, it's you. And she's like, let me do what I can. And she came out with some trash plans. Like she came out of that hype conversation with some garbage, hot garbage. It was rough.
Her trash plan number one. All right, trash plan was number one. Was her trying to convince Spencer to pick her in the battle match if he's eliminated. Yeah. And even Spencer was like, why? Wait, I'm sorry, what? Are you coming to me, the battle match king, asking me to pick you to what? Yeah. Why would I do that?
Yeah.
Like, I feel why would you want me to do that?
If that was first of all, that's not a plan. That's not a thing. If that was the plan, the first step of that plan is making sure everybody's voting Spencer, which nobody was doing. So like, I don't know why you're going to somebody who's not going to be on the block and tell them to bring you on the block. That's a check that can't be cashed. It was just odd. And I think Spencer was confused. I was for sure confused. I think Natalie was a little confused. It was rough. It was rough.
But again, I think she was trying, and it's like, one, she's trying. Two, throughout this game, she's been dealing with people either very expressly or very subtly saying, you're weak, you need to play harder, you need to do more, you're a goat, you're the weak player, you're not showing nothing, you're not showing us your moves, so it's like trying to be strong while everyone essentially telling you you're weak is a really difficult position to be in. So I think she went from being like, okay, I'm internally thinking of being a strong player and I'm going to do things, to be like, wow, now I have to show these people. I need to show them I'm not afraid of anybody. So yeah, Spencer, if you get called in, take me in, I'll battle you. And Spencer's probably thinking, do you see what I had to deal with when I picked women to battle them? Like, I'm just now recovering from that. You get behind me, Satan. Okay. I'm not going to fall for that test.
Spencer was having like PR flat, like with trauma to 3 weeks ago. He's like, this ain't happening. No.
Right.
I'm going to pick Spencer the biggest, strongest dude I can find. Where's Arnold Schwarzenegger? We going to fight. Yeah.
Spencer had like the Muda on his shoulder being like, oh, excuse me, you're picking another female? That's a weak move. And Spencer's like, yeah, I'm not, y'all not gonna get me. I'm not doing that. So that was pretty funny.
That was a moment. And yes, I a lot more sympathy for her. That was not a great idea, but she tried. She was trying. In the end, the votes fell on Jacob.
Yeah.
Which I was like, man, at this point, anybody who's in there, I'm gonna feel a way about. Like, I kind of like everybody left. And so Jacob went in.
I think it was kind of inevitable, don't you think? Like, I was trying to think of if there was anything Jacob could have done. Like, I would have liked to have seen him maybe try to. On the one hand, I'd like to see him maybe try to threaten Josh with, say, yo, like, not threaten Josh. I wanted to see Jacob pitch to Josh, like, Josh, I mean, I know you just saved Billy.
Yeah.
But you better know you can't be sitting next to her in the final two. You're gonna need someone to take her out, and Billy's big on loyalty. So if you take her out, you don't have her vote. If I take her out, I'm doing. I wish he had kind of maybe thought of some ways to stay, but he didn't really pitch a lot of strategic reasons for why he should stay.
Mm-hmm. It was. I mean, I think I don't know what we saw. I don't know what was cut out, but I think there was also a degree of just like exhaustion. It's like, there's not a lot of pieces to play with left on the chessboard. There's That's 5 of us, and what happens. And so he dragged pretty quickly. Like, there wasn't a lot of conversation. I mean, he kind of said that, he respects everybody, respects Natalie, and he obviously respects Billy and Josh. And then he dragged the Spencemeister.
Yeah, I think it was both of their fifth. It was their 5th battle match for both of them.
4th, I think.
They're 4th?
They've each won 3.
Yeah.
So
okay, they've each won 3. So this was really the Battle of Titans. I was bummed. I mean, I was expecting it because I didn't think he would pick Natalie. He gave her, really encouraging goodbye message. And but it was tough because, like, I've been rooting for both of them in some form or another this whole season, and they've been working together in some form or another, so.
And they're also both Real Talk fans.
I know. I felt like Tyra in that moment. Like, we were rooting for you. We were all rooting for you.
Yeah, it was rough.
So they essentially go into the battle match, and the battle match is a quiz competition. It was called Deja Vu Trivia, and they had to answer true or false to questions about essentially the game Final they had just played. The Final 5 competition. So it's pretty cool. It's kind of like what you'd see in Big Brother, and like almost like the final end games, like where they do the questions based on like what your cast members would say, and that's kind of what it was. And so it was pretty close. It was kind of back and forth. The one thing I noticed I was like slightly irked about was that Spencer, after they picked their cards, like after they picked and they, I'd have true or Jacob would have true or Spencer would have false. Like Spencer would like look over at Jacob to like check, and I was like, stop looking. Like,
I know.
Just focus.
Keep your eyes to yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
He did get redemption for the fist bump. I felt like that was like the most symbolic representation of his arc. Remember when he put his fist out there for Brent for like 35 minutes and Brent was like, I don't see anything. He got a few fist bumps. I feel like Jacob was like, yeah, bro, yeah, we're friends. Yes, I get it. Yeah, Spencer was just, I could feel like, yes, finally.
Yeah, finally.
I've come full circle.
This fist has been waiting. So yeah, they also, did they go to a tiebreaker too?
I don't think so. I think that one was outright. Yeah.
Okay.
Did you have a note about tiebreaker? I don't know.
I did, but I don't remember. It said Jacob's out after tiebreaker, but I don't remember what.
I don't know, man. That episode was wild. I barely remember.
It was crazy.
It was a roller coaster.
So long story short, Jacob loses. Jacob Jones is out of the game, and we see Spencer like a phoenix. Yo, this guy, like, I mean, real. he has now earned the title of Comp Beast. He has not lost the competition. I mean, he
took out the only other potential Comp Beast, literally. Like the only other person who'd won more than one. He took him out.
Yeah. So we now have our final four is Spencer, Billy, Natalie, and Josh. And now they go on to the final four table, which
mad as a first-time Sequester viewer, this was madness.
Yeah.
It was so emotional. Like
it was
everything I've ever wanted from Big Brother. Shout out to Audrey. Shout out to Audrey. Like,
mad shout out.
It was the exact sort of pressure cooker that you can no longer, all the backstabbing and lying that goes on. This is face to face. You state your intention, you make your case. Like, it was amazing.
Right in front of them.
In front of them. You got to point them out.
Yeah.
I want you out the house. It's amazing.
None of this. I'm going to go into the other room, go into the diary room and vote. Like, you now, if you're about it, you have to say it to that person's face and deal with the emotion. Like, it's one thing to betray someone in the safety of your confessional and leave them a goodbye message and not even have to see their reaction. It's another thing to betray someone to their face and have them say why and have them beg you not to.
I know.
Oh my God. So the first thing we see, they get to the final four table. The bell starts, the bell opens, they can start discussion. We see your girl come out with a power move. Natalie's like, yo, Josh, if vote out Billy now or I'm dragging you out. And freaking Josh is like, okay, yeah, Billy, so let's discuss.
Oh my God, Natalie, why do you do? I know why. Like, now I really feel like I have insight into her, and I really feel like I get her. Like, it's just like, you're like, she said a lot how she feels like she needs to speak her truth. She needs to say what's in her heart. And I was like, first of all, that's not what this game is necessarily. To be, it's not necessarily saying how you feel. That's not what this game is. But I do get where you're coming from. And I do get why you come out with these hot takes. She'd be great on the show. If you want to join Real Talk with Real Siblings and Natalie, we can make that happen. Like, she's just coming out with these hot takes. And I'm like, yo, I get it. But they fall flat a lot. And that one fell, like, especially in a quiet room like that with only 4 people in, I was like, ooh, we could hear that thud. Like, that was rough. Right. Billy kind of did like a, Natalie, why you say that? And then, but there wasn't a lot of reaction to it.
It wasn't until Josh was like, yeah. I mean, you're right. Billy kind of had a bit of a plea, just like, look, don't just get me out just to get me out. Like, I've worked my butt to be here. Like, don't just casually throw my name. And so they kind of just like, okay, whatever. And then we see Josh be like, Billy, like, the way you just talked, the way you just spoke about like why you're here and why you should be here, why you fought to be here, and you're here to make a statement and da-da-da. Like, that's the very reason I can't take you. And like, my vote is going to be for Billy. And like, Josh started crying, and I was just like,
oh man.
And you see Billy just look at him, and Billy like reaches over the table, and she's like, literally, she reaches over the table. She's like, why? Why?
It became this like French, like, it should have been like in black and white, and they should have put subtitles, and they're just speaking like Italian or French, like mi amor, and then Josh was like, no bueno. Like, it was so dramatic, it was so beautiful.
It was so dramatic. It was so emotional. Like, seeing Billy, this was amazing, because Billy, throughout this entire season, she's been very consistent. She's been super loyal. Loyalty's been her game beginning to the end, right? And you see that she made it a point to surround herself with loyal people. She was very loyal to Muna, and Muna was also very loyal to her, and just a loyal person in general. And she was loyal to Josh, and Josh has been very loyal to her. And to see her like come to terms with this, come to face with like it, like from Josh, like I have to say, I felt she handled herself so well,
impeccably,
like so
incredibly
well. Because not once did she threaten Josh.
Never.
Which is what I would have done. I was like, I was like, okay. Like, she's like, she talked to him like he was an ally. She's like, look, I still love you, bro. Like, we could talk this out. Like, you don't like, I'm not necessarily gonna win. Like, let's talk this out. I would have been like, okay, vote me out. I will drag you through this house all the way down to the parking lot, back on the plane. I will send you back to New Jersey, where you came from,
damn,
Josh. Like,
bars.
Like, if like after all that, for him to to betray you, but she didn't. I was crying for her.
Here's what Billy blows my mind. Billy is, to me, the greatest emotional player in like competitive reality show history. Like so many players say like, I play with my heart on my sleeve, or I play with my heart, I play with my emotions. Or so many players don't realize that's how they play, even though that's how they do play. She's self-aware and she weaponizes it. And I don't mean in a manipulative way. She's not out there like trying to mess with you.
She's not a, what was it, Vanessa? She's not a Vanessa.
Yeah, Vanessa Rousseau. Like she's not that. She's just, she creates this plan with her mind, and then any time the plan requires any change or adaptation, she lets her emotions guide her. It's so authentic, and it's this super intelligent way of probably living life too, to be honest. Like it's just so genuine, and I think that's ultimately, one, it's why she's very good at this game, and it's two, I think it's why she won, because like Swain Natalie, she said it, Swain Natalie from Natalie's from like bizarre challenge, to like way to get Billy out, to now Natalie is the only person who kept Billy safe.
She turns part of that is
Natalie. Part of that is Natalie's in a place where she's so unstable. I think she could be swayed, but
true, 100%.
Part of that is Billy's a master.
I think a lot of it was Billy being masterful, because also, so Billy tries with Josh, and she tries with Josh, and she sees, oh, there's no inroads with Josh. She turns to Spencer, and Spencer is over here, convincing Natalie why Natalie needs to, turn her vote on to Billy, and Billy's like, oh damn, like, Spencer, I don't got you, Spencer, like, okay, like, so then you see, Billy turn to Natalie, and I thought, it wasn't just because it was Natalie, because you also had Spencer talking to Natalie, and Spencer made a lot of sense. Spencer was like, yo, you said you wanted to make a power move. Like, what's more powerful than, like, now's the moment. What's more powerful than getting Billy out? Like, this is your move. Like, and Spencer was making a lot of sense. I was thinking, like, holy shoot. Like, I thought she was going to do it. And Billy just, you're right. Like, the way she was just able to emote, and the way she was just like, at one point she was like, Spencer, no, like, like, I'm fighting for my life over here.
Even then, she's got such poise. You know what I mean? Like, that's poise. That's what poise. Like, she's fighting for her life. She's already emotional from a betrayal, and she was never disrespectful to Spencer. She shut him down, and Spencer stopped. Right? It's not like like it was soft, and Spencer tried to bulldoze it. She shut him down. She claimed her space, and it was so authoritative while also respectful. That's a hard balance to strike.
Yeah.
And she nailed. I was just like, who is this woman? Like, how does she operate like this?
To be that as a woman, to see someone in that, to see another woman in that situation, and to see how she was able to handle herself with so much grace, like, it was really a sight to behold. It was really just to see her be open and completely honest with her emotions, and let herself cry, let herself kind of show that weakness of like, look, I am begging you, but also do it in such a way that came off so regal and graceful. And oh man, it got me. Like, it just got me. And the part when so they're pleading and pleading, they only have a certain amount of time, and then the bell rings and all the talking stops, and they have to vote, and they have to vote the person out by just pointing at each other. And so we see Billy, we obviously see Josh pointing at Billy. We see Spencer pointing at Billy, and then we see Billy and Natalie pointing at Spencer. And so it's a tie. And they discuss again, and Billy's just begging and pleading.
She made a case, man.
Oh, it was so intense. Like, I was watching this, I was like, what's gonna happen? Like, I was like, and so now at this point, Sequester Bodies told them, like, look, if there's still a tie, you guys are going to go to the circle of death, or the wheel of death, right? So if it's still a tie, then Josh and Natalie, just their names, will go on the wheel of death, and one of them will get eliminated. So, like, if you're Natalie and you're in this position, are you thinking like, well, okay, like, I know Josh is not budging. Let me, sorry, Billy, I tried. But I can't risk my game. I think that's what anybody else would do, but not Natalie. I'm not saying that as a bad thing.
I know. I feel like that exact phrase has been a theme of this season. Like, you know what any other person would do in this situation? That's not what Natalie did. Like, she's on a different vibe. She's on a different wavelength.
I'm telling you though, like, the respect I gained for her, like, I literally wrote down in my notes, I was like, oh, Natalie's being a queen. You know what I'm saying? Like that, because
yeah.
like Natalie was just like, okay, she made a decision. Okay, this is what I'm going to stand by, and she stood by it.
Yeah.
Like, like when Billy turned to her, and Billy was like, "Look, Natalie, like you're my only hope.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Josh has betrayed me. This person betrayed me. You're it. Like, I'm begging you. Like,
yeah.
but also, can you imagine, like, if somebody's saying that to your face, what are you supposed to say? Ugh.
It's tough, yeah, because Natalie's closest ally was Jacob. I think if Jacob was in that Final Four and it was trying to get out, if Jacob was Josh in that situation, I think she would have got Billy out. I think Josh didn't have enough of a connection with Natalie for her to be swayed by a personal connection. And I think to be fair to her, I think she was dead in the game regardless, right? I think Billy drags her because Billy's very close to Josh and has a partnership with Spencer, and Billy's loyal. She's right. So I think she votes out Billy, she gets dragged out. I think and that's her only choice. So I mean, right? Or she does what she did. She ended up.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And I think even if she did get to the final two, I don't think she would have been able to articulate her game. I think under that pressure, I think no matter who she's sitting up against, I think she'd probably have maybe a closer chance with Spencer. Yeah. But I don't think she'd be able to articulate the game moves that she's made because, to be honest, I don't think she feels confident about it. And if you don't feel confident about it, then you're not going to sell anybody else. So I think maybe you're right. Maybe she kind of recognized that consciously or subconsciously that like, Billy's going to win this game. Let me give it to her. There's not much I can do for myself.
Yeah, I mean, there at that point there definitely wasn't. I would say that coming out and saying you want Billy out first is a weird way to end up giving Billy the game. I feel like there could have been some steps taken before that, but in the end, I think she reached a reasonable decision, and I was heartbroken for Josh, man.
I was. Oh yeah. So
the wheel of misfortune.
The wheel of misfortune gets spun. Yeah. And I will say though, I was praying for Natalie. I was praying for Natalie to be safe because I was like, to be safe. Yeah. I was like, I didn't want the wheel to fall on her because I was like, she just did this like super noble, wonderful thing. Like, I know they say no good deed goes unpunished, but like, let her have a little bit of like, look, I know I make a basis. I've always been a Natalie stan. You're the one who's had an issue with Natalie, so I've always been standing for Natalie. True. So I know I was really hoping for her to stay, but also, I mean, I've loved Josh since the beginning too. So it was tough, and when it landed on Josh, I was actually, you're right. I
felt horrible for Josh because this, and I have some beef with this moment. He lost the game to chance, and to an extent, he could have maybe switched his vote to Spencer, right? And he had options, and maybe that would have been the best play. Be like, all right, Spencer. I mean, but then again, Natalie didn't, as far as I could tell, at least from the edit, didn't give enough indication that she was going to vote for Billy again. That he could have been like, okay, we're getting Spencer out here. You know what I mean? Like there was no clear indication from Natalie, but that was an option he had. But like, I feel like he lost his game to chance and not to gameplay. He played a masterful game.
Yeah, he did.
Hell of a game.
And he said, like,
I can just imagine. Just being in that position sucks where you're like, I've done everything I can. It's literally up to a coin toss now. And the coin said I have to leave. Like, it's not because I messed up or because it's not really because of my social connections. Of course there's woulda, coulda, shouldas that could have happened, but that sucks.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And even like when, other than like the slight misstep of, searching for that LOS early on and kind of like setting his, putting a little bit of target on his back. Like he said himself, I mean, he's played a flawless game. And I think he was one to articulate it. I don't know if he did it at the Final Four table in the confessional where he was like, I don't see winning battle matches as a strength. Like if you have to play a battle match, that means there's a flaw, there's an issue with your game. There's a flaw in your game. So like, I'm not giving you any credit for playing a battle match. Like I haven't had to go play a battle match because I have played a flawless game. I have kept myself from having to, fight my way back in the competition. And he has, and it was, I wish maybe, I guess it wouldn't, I don't know. I wish that once they spin the wheel, that the person could have a chance to change their vote before the wheel lands on a name. Like while the wheel, I know that would take away the whole threat of the wheel if you could just like kind of change your mind at the end. But like, I wish he could have been like, okay, fine, I'll change my vote to Spencer. Yeah.
I wish the wheel could have landed only on Natalie's name. They should have put 4 names and they were all Natalie. I'm just kidding, Natalie. We're friends now. Forgive me. I don't know.
Yeah. So Josh is evicted. Or Josh
they say, Josh, who do you want? And he says Natalie.
No hesitation. Just like that.
Yeah. And Josh, like, man, yeah. And he tells her, he leans forward on the table and he's like, this is what happens. This is what happens, Natalie. I hope you learn. He like whispers terrifying things. I mean, he basically says like, I called your bluff. Like in the previous competition, they'd asked her like, who do you think is most likely to bluff on a drag? And she's like, I think Josh would bluff on dragging Billy, but he wouldn't actually do it. He's like, you want to say that again, Natalie? Do you want to challenge me again, Natalie? So he got her out. Not only that, he's like, if there's an all-stars, you better believe I'm gonna like Josh is on a different. He's on a different whole.
He's on a whole.
He's on a whole other thing.
Yeah. Josh is the kind of villain in a movie that won't stop until he's murdered everyone in the family. Like all of the family members of his enemy. Like Josh is like, look, if there's an all-stars, if you have children, if your children's children have children, if your neighbors have children, everyone is gonna know that if I tell you I'm gonna drag you, I'm dragging you. Like the way he explained it, he was essentially just like, say less, stop talking, pack your bags.
Yep. I mean, he did it to Marcelo. He's saying it to Natalie. He should look to the cameras and be like, you hear that, America? Like, if anybody's got their name in my name in their mouth, I'm coming for you.
People need to know, and that's true. Josh made a name for himself, because if you ever see him on anything else, just know that
he's not the one.
Josh is not the one. I know Moon has said if you come for me, don't miss, but Josh is really the one. If you come for him, you can't miss.
Yeah.
Like, because if you miss, he's taking you out. And that's Natalie, that's what happened. You came for Josh by not listening to him.
I mean, that's a crazy way to come for somebody. Just like Natalie's probably like, I just voted differently. Like, I don't want these threats. It was it was intense.
So
it was sad.
We have our final two.
Yeah.
Billy and Spencer.
Complete
and
opposites.
Actually,
complete opposites.
Is this not the perfect final two?
Yeah, it's perfect. One is the comp beast, one is the social beast. And they both played flawless games in their own respects.
Yep.
I mean, Spencer literally went not only did he never lose competition, he seemed to be like almost volunteering for every single one. He was in over 50% of them. Yep. And then you have Billy, who never got dragged. Never got eliminated. Flawless.
It was like, I mean, if somebody wrote this as a book, like it literally could not have been a better final two, because to me, it highlighted, like you said, the two aspects of this game, competitions and social strategy. And where Billy didn't have to worry about competitions because she relied on her social strategy, and that's completely saved her. Spencer had to. He had to completely rely on his competitions because he had no social strategy. It was wonderful that these two people went to the final two. And from person, and I want to hear your thoughts too, because this is your very first season of watching Sequester, and I've watched a couple of them, not in real time, but kind of like binge watched them. And I remember thinking that in previous seasons, I remember like it wasn't the two strongest players that got to the final. Because the strongest players would get kicked out throughout the season, and by the time you get to the end, it's usually like the number 2 or the number 3 in command, right? Like the shield leaves, and then maybe the other shield leaves, and then you have the other people. And so I don't know, from what the ones I've seen, this was the first one where the two strongest people in their respective realms made it to the final.
I felt similarly. I mean, obviously my final two was Team Billy Joe, right? I was all about it. I think Josh played an amazing game, but yeah, I think Josh and Billy played very similar games in terms of making their case to the jury, right? The combination of loyalty and strategy and deception when necessary. Just great social play, making the right connections. I mean, it's very similar. And Spencer played the other kind of game, and yeah, I was very happy with it. As much as whoever else deserved, I thought Jacob played a great game. I would have really liked to see Shireen play more. Whatever else, I was very happy and satisfied with this final two.
I was. I mean, I was heartbroken for Josh. I really was still. And what could have been for Jacob Jones, but I was happy to see. I mean, Spencer has an amazing story, and
what an arc.
Freaking Billy, like Billy's Billy. How can you not like love her for her? So that's our final two, and then we get to the jury segment, which is just a massive kind of emotional roller coaster / recap through the game. And I love that, because of the way this show is structured, it's a kind of a short form show, but they really kind of, give these episodes, enough time to breathe so we can really see what's happening. And it's not a lot of like choppy editing where we're just like, how did this person even win? We see each person on the jury get to ask each of the final two a question. And I think they even asked like different questions. Like it wasn't always the exact same question for each one. Just like ask them questions and they have to answer. And that's what we saw. And I loved it. It was really, really cool.
It put Big Brother to shame. It actually made Big Brother look a little bit silly, to be honest. Like the fact that we don't get any extensive jury conversation in Big Brother, and you have for that season, for any season, you have 3 episodes a week. They're each an hour long. Like,
and they're giving away $500,000.
Like, what is going on?
And you want the jury to make a decision on a whim? Like,
and then they get to ask like one pre-written trash question on lives. I was like, what is going on? This is every person gets to interrogate the jury. We had Shireen going off. Brendan had like a impromptu, research poll. I was like, what is going on? It was just, you're doing whatever you want. You got to say
whatever they want. Whatever they want.
Spencer, I challenge you to game on one-on-one. Let's go. And then they'll take a break, go play, and come back. Like it was so freeform and so just that's what the jury should be. Everyone gets to choose how they want to determine the winner by whatever means they decide. I think Jacob didn't even ask a question, or no, who was it that didn't ask a question?
Someone didn't ask a question?
Yeah, they just like went up, said like you're both great, and then sat down. Was it?
Oh, was it Marcelo? I think. Was it?
And then he said he was voting. I thought it was Jacob. He didn't actually. No, he did ask. Jacob definitely.
Yeah, Jacob asked a question. Jacob asked
Who was it? I don't know.
Because Jacob was like, Spencer, hint.
Was it Natalie?
You to turn it up.
Or Josh?
Oh, maybe it wasn't Natalie because I don't remember.
I feel like it was one of the last few eliminated. It was either Josh or Natalie. I don't remember.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. I loved it.
Yeah, it was. It was cool to see. So we have our final two, and the final two is revealed to the jury, and we see Spencer and obviously Billy come up, and I think it was when Spencer starts to talk, and then they cut to a shot of
Quack Pack.
Is it the Quack Pack or the what was Maggie's? What was the name of Maggie's?
Oh, the Nerd Herd.
The Nerd Herd in a way, except Muna. I don't think Muna fits in a Nerd Herd, but it was like, and actually not even Shireen. Maybe just Rachel. Rachel's the only person Nerd Herd, but it was Rachel, Shireen, and Muna. And Muna had a straight face, but I think she just had a game face. But like the three of them, they looked like they were not ready to even listen to a word Spencer said. And I was bummed out about that, actually. I think later on, like we see Muna talk and we see that, she didn't actually feel the way her face looked. But Rachel and Shireen certainly did. And I was a little bummed because I would like to think that the jury should, no matter what has happened, they want to come to that segment with an open mind, ready to listen to what the final two have to say.
Or even simply, for me, even if it's not an open mind, it's a closed mind based on gameplay, right? And I think I also, I will say Rachel, I thought conducted herself very well. Other than that opening moment, I thought she was very respectful in her questions and she didn't have so much spite. Shireen is Shireen, like she's, comes a little hot, but like I don't think either of them were completely unreasonable in how they reacted. I think they have their beef with Spencer and that's fine. I do think it's a little weird given how little, they've known him for like 3 days and then they were locked away from him for 4 days and this whole thing only took 7 days and like, I don't know. But, I wish it had been more gameplay based. Any of their problems with him, and I do think there's a problem with not that he was punished. Spencer wasn't punished. He's fine. I mean, mean people said things about him on Twitter. It's not like he's suffering, but I mean, other than whatever personal problems he has with that, but like, he seemed genuinely apologetic.
100%.
And what he had ultimately said to them was that he thinks they're weak, and he didn't say that, right? He implied it heavily by his demeanor and behavior. I was like, but if he had just called y'all weak, that's fine. Like that's normal in these sorts of games. People say way worse things than like, you guys suck at comps and I want to drag you in. Like he could have said that straight up. Right. And I feel like that wouldn't be beyond the pale. That would be totally normal. Instead, he inadvertently said that while trying to be more polite and they're like really mad at him for it. I'm like, I don't know. I mean, it seems like it's going after low-hanging fruit, right? Like Brent would not have been as kind as Spencer was. He's like, you guys are weak and I want to challenge you. And they wouldn't have the same anger towards him because they knew it wouldn't result in anything. Brent would be like, I don't care what you say. I said it. That's how I feel. Whereas I think because Spencer feels remorse and generally
actually cares,
like actually kind of like, also these women are older than him. And I don't mean that like they're not old, but like Spencer's a young guy. He's in her 30s. Rachel's in her, I think, late 20s, early 30s. Like, how offended can you be by somebody 10 years younger than you when they said something inadvertent? I don't know. But overall, I do think they were fine.
And it's also interesting too, because it's like, I think the person who, of everyone, although I think Rachel might have a case depending on how she kind of internalized what Spencer said to her, and she's certainly entitled to feel how she wants to feel. But for me, I think the person who would have the most right to have a gripe with Spencer, Muna,
for sure,
reconciled with him. And like the Muna Spencer reunion was, look, I didn't realize I needed that. I needed that. That was the closure I didn't realize I needed, because I felt like, you know, we saw them certainly really getting there, and seeing them, like seeing her at the end just be like, you know, yo, I love you. You had an amazing game. And just like her, like heap the praise on him. And I was really, I really respected Nuna at that point, because I think she certainly could have, you know, she knows she has a lot of friends in the jury and influence with the jury. And I think she certainly could have used it to just push up her girl, Billy, and be like, yo, Billy's who I want to win. Let's just talk about Billy. Billy, you're the best. Tell everybody why you're the best. And then, you know, throw Spencer some, you know, cheap shot question or whatever. But she really just was super gracious herself. And I love that moment. I really like that.
I did. Yeah. And Muna fascinates me. I honestly, like, I feel like I need to go back and watch her seasons now. Like, I'm so intrigued with, there's so many shades to her. I feel like so many, like, you know, surfaces to her. I'm trying to figure out like how, I don't know. It's interesting. And I thought she surprised me in how she reacted to in that moment. I was not expecting her to be so full of praise and full of, you know, kindness and graciousness to, even despite the kind of reconciliation they had on the show. I still thought there would be more heat coming out of her. And she was just really,
it was gone, completely gone. You know, the one thing she did do that I expected, she gave a speech. And if there's one thing about Muna, she gonna give you a speech. Like Muna was like, all right, it's my turn to talk. All right, 10 minutes later, I'm still talking. And then, you know, one of the cool parts of this part was when Shireen came up, and the first thing I think she asked was, who was the killer? And I was like, I love that, because like Shireen is always in game mode.
Always. I love Shireen, man. I want to see her play a lot more. I'm gonna go watch her Survivor seasons. I don't think
I know, actually that'd be really cool
with her, but like,
but
she's such a gamer.
Seeing Billy explain her role as the killer, like the whole jury, they were all just like, they were so excited to hear about it. It was really fun to see that.
And like, I mean, there were a lot of really cool moments. Brendan, I thought his thing was kind of bizarre. I didn't know exactly what he was trying to prove there, other than maybe make Spencer feel bad, because Spencer looked like he felt bad.
Is that what it was? Like, is that, because he was like, you should take it to heart. Like, if
like, I'm losing to Billy. We're all going to lose to Billy. I don't know how much heart I should, I don't know. But
everyone in life is going to lose.
I mean, aside from all the individual moments, like, it was very clear that nobody was going to beat Billy in this final two. I mean, Josh is a much better speaker than Spencer, so there's that element there, but Billy is a good talker. She is compelling. She knows. I mean, I saw a video of her rapping, and I was like, she's dope. Like, she's just as good as you. She's just good. And so Spencer, who, I mean, is notoriously he struggles socially, especially with this group of people. Like, he was out of his depth, man. It was
100%.
He did his best, and he still got, you know, he did better than I thought, to be honest. But like, it was a clear contrast.
That's what Jacob meant when he was telling Spencer, like, you know, I need you to turn it up. I need you to turn it up. What he was trying to say was like, I need you to connect with people and understand what you need to give them so they can vote for you, and then give them that. And he wasn't doing it. He wasn't able to, you know, maybe he was uncomfortable, maybe he was, you know, nervous, whatever, all those normal human emotions. But Billy is able to do that just amazingly. And I think it's just a testament to her high emotional intelligence. Like, she just has a very high EQ and is able to just really understand when to pitch logic, when to pitch emotion, when to pitch a combination of those things, when to pitch loyalty, and, you know, when to pitch passion. And she just was more effective. Every single question, she knocked it out of the park.
Yeah. It was. That's really all there is to say about it, man. Billy crushed this game.
At the end, Billy won.
She won. Oh yeah, spoilers.
I mean, I think we said it. Billy won. Billy won. She deserved to win. Absolutely. She crushed this game from the beginning. And you're right. I don't know who else could have sat next to her.
I would have liked. Josh is just quick on his feet. Verbally. I don't think he would have the resume or the connections. I mean, he was an odd man out from the jump. I don't think he had the connections to be Billy. I don't think he had the articulatable resume, right? Some of his moves were so subtle that even explaining them, I don't know how much fur would have gotten him, especially because Billy has similarly subtle moves. I think Spencer was a good foil. His resume was so different from hers that you do have to do an element of comparison, right? You can't just like no brain it. Whereas with Billy and Josh, you could be like, they played similar, but I like Billy more. I don't know. I would have just loved to see Josh talk in the end, but I think Spencer did his best. Nobody's perfect. We all have our strengths and weaknesses. He did his best, and he got outclassed.
Yeah, he did.
Good.
He did. And, you know, and I think, you know, we even saw Josh too, trying to, you know, make a case for Spencer by saying, you know, Spencer, you have a dangerous game. I think they were, you know, maybe since they made it to the end with him, I'm sure they got to the jury and saw the jury was like, you know, super, you know, Billy focused and not even giving Spencer a chance. I'm like, sure, they're like, no, at least, I mean, Billy could certainly win and deserves to win, but at least recognize that Spencer played an amazing game and had a lot of challenges. And so I thought it was, I don't know if it was clear to Spencer at the time, but it was certainly clear to me watching that, you know, they were trying to encourage Spencer to make the case for himself, you know. What a fantastic season.
Oh my
Like
God.
Seeing Billy do her little, like, I think it was like the pop smoke dance, like when she won, and then seeing her.
I didn't see it. I was probably crying or flipping. I don't know what I was doing. I missed it. Oh no.
She did a little dance.
Yeah.
Confetti came down, and then the first thing she did was make it a point to, you know, thank Natalie. I thought that was really sweet.
I thought that was so. I mean, that was a weird, unlikely, but beautiful connection those two formed. Like, I mean, I do think she could have given a shout out to Josh for saving her in the Final Five competition, but whatever. I think her and Josh are solid. I think what her and Natalie created and how they felt about each other in the end, and Billy's a genius. So the way she was able to say, like, I duped Natalie's ass into voting for me, even though she wanted me out, but make it a compliment to Natalie, and also, but like a genuine compliment. Like,
I don't think it was a dupe. I don't think
that's what I mean. But like, but she did. That's what happened. Like, it's not like, you know what I mean? Like she said, like, I was able to talk Natalie away from that, but it was never insulting, and she didn't mean it insultingly. Like, I was like, how did you spin that? Like,
because that's the kind of person she is. You know what I'm saying? Like, she is, you know, you talk about, like, you know, Muna being just very interesting and having like a lot of like interesting levels to her, but like Billy as well. Billy is such, I want to see Billy on a bigger screen. Like, I want to see her. I want to see her on a Big Brother. You know, on a Survivor. You know, I don't know if that's her jam, but like, I want to see her, because I don't think there's ever been somebody like her. That multi-dimensional, that sort of emotionally honest but strong player. You know, in a way, I would have loved to have seen her in a competition, because I think she would have done great in a competition. You know, it's like just.
I will say, and this is not a knock to Billy, it's a knock to Big Brother. I don't think she'd do well on Big Brother, because I think realistically, the way casting works, she would be she'd be the one black girl in the house, and it would be a very different dynamic.
And it'd be all like
different. And she would not be on the in group. She would not have a Muna, who's part of the popular crew. That's how you know, it would be very different connections.
Or even a Natalie, or even a
Jacob,
or even a Josh.
I don't know if there'd be a Josh in that house, right? Like, these sorts of people aren't in Big Brother. She's a force, and I feel like it's a criticism of Big Brother's format that she would not be the same force in that show. Then again, I could be wrong. She's sharp, and she could probably adapt and figure out what she needs to do. But yeah, I think it'd be a different kind of battle. I don't want to end on that note. I want to end on the note that this season was incredible.
It was amazing. It was amazing. It was genuinely amazing.
Real talk. I genuinely appreciate everyone in the house. Less so Rachel, to be honest, a little bit, and Brendan kind of rubbed me the wrong way. But like, I don't know. Even them, like, I came away from this liking everybody. I feel like they're all decent people. They all tried their best. Like, and that's what reality TV is ultimately supposed to be about. I know we all love the drama and like to mudsling and make people feel bad on Twitter, but like, ultimately the reason we're this is so compelling is because these are people. These are honest people. They're doing their best. They're doing what they can. And like, you should walk away thinking like, look how great we are as humans. Look how, I don't know. I felt so good at the end of this.
And it's, you know, and it's also too, especially when you compare it to Big Brother, and obviously we compare it to Big Brother because we're Big Brother stands. We've been watching it. Like, I've been watching since like literally season 1, and most has been watching it for pretty much the same time. And especially in the modern Big Brother era, you know, what we see in terms of like just the mob mentality pack, the bullying pack that forms very early on of the popular white kids, and then they all target, you know, either the old people or the fat people, or certainly the minorities, or, you know, all the quote unquote outcasts, and you know, and not just target them, but, you know, kind of bully them and make their experience really horrible. And it just gets twisted from what I think drew everybody to the show in the very beginning, you know, the fun of the social experiment. And we get to see that here. Like, sure, they all play games, and it certainly got personal to some degree, but never personal in the game sense, right? Never that kind of personal where there's like, hey, let's all bully, you know, gang up and bully this person to break their spirit, you know, like nothing like that. And it was just it was really a joy to watch every single episode, like every single one. So well done. Kudos to Audrey. Kudos to every single person involved. Amazing cast. And, you know, thank you guys for joining us on this ride. This has been amazing for us to, you know, share our thoughts on this show with you. But I will tell you, it's not the last time you're going to see us talking about Sequester, because we got a surprise for you.
Let's go. I know we're all like, this is it. Psych.
It's not the end.
We got more.
We got a surprise. Should we let them know? I don't know.
Hell yeah,
should we let them know?
I said it on Twitter. I already let one of.
Oh, did you? Oh, I haven't seen the video.
We are going to have. I know you have to stay out because you're going to avoid spoilers.
Yeah.
We are going to have cast interviews coming out this week. First up, already announced, is your boy Spencer, the runner-up, the most
runner-up
player
of
himself.
Season 4 of Sequester.
Yes, sir.
Yo, we're going to ask him all the questions we've been wanting to ask him all season long. And if you have any questions for him, you got to drop it in the comments below. We'll ask him your questions and you got to check it out. So, you know,
we'll have that. Plan is to have that up by Tuesday, unless there's anything crazy happens. But then we have more, and we'll start announcing them throughout this week. So get ready. You're going to hear from some of your favorites, and I'm crazy excited to talk to some of these people. I can't wait. It's going to be wild to see them.
Me too.
Talk trash to their face. Don't think we're going to go light on you. This is real talk. Get ready.
We're not going light. We're not going light. All right. So you better get ready. But yeah, so we'll see you soon. Make sure to drop a like. Make sure to drop a comment. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, and make sure to hit the the notification bell, so you know when we post the next video.
All the bells.
And this has been Real Talk
with real siblings. Bye, y'all.
Bye, guys.